Hello, Flickin' Fanatics. Finally, we have arrived at our season finale spoiler review for the sixth and final episode of Moon Knight, and it's going to be a doozy. We can't wait to dive into it. And this is your final warning, full spoilers. Hey, everybody that's still up with us on our semi-late weekday review of Moon Knight, but that's okay. You can catch it on the rewatch if you got to do that. But
semi, kind of, sort of late. It's the finale. We got to go all out. It's the finale.
Stayed up for the finale, gonna stay up for the review. That sounds about right. Sean, can you believe we're already at the finale of Moon Knight?
We're here.
Like we just did the trailer reaction for the show not that long ago.
True.
And
very true.
6 episodes. 8 seems like the minimum, right? Like
I feel like 8. I feel like 8's the I was gonna say the mid tier.
For like these higher budget narrative shows.
Yeah, 8's a sweet spot. I feel like better than 10, because it's tighter. Not 12, not 16. It just depends on the story they're trying to tell, to be honest.
Wanda was 9, but there were shorter episodes. But Wanda, some people said it felt rushed. It didn't feel super rushed to me.
And
but we're not
supposed to be 10.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was supposed to be 10. So, yeah.
And we're not just going to talk about runtimes, although this being the shortest episode of the entire season seems strange to me. You would think they could give it at least an extra 10. Yeah. But so many things to say about this episode. Again, we're going to go full into spoilers. If you haven't seen it yet, please watch the episode, come back to us, get caught up. Lots to say about this, and I will start off by saying I think I'm riding a little bit more of a high than most people are. I've seen a fair amount online of not only disappointment in the season finale, but also just kind of the entire show, which I strongly disagree with. But that's okay. That's been happening a lot with me and Marvel and our community of fandom. Is whatever they're like the highest on, I seem to be less high on, and whatever people don't like, I love the crap out of Eternals. Everyone's like, this is the worst, and then everyone's like, No Way Home's the best Marvel movie of all time. I was like, it was fun. So I don't know. Sean, obviously I know because we've talked about this every week, but for anyone just joining us, how have you felt about the show leading up to the finale?
I felt like the show was good. Like it was good. It wasn't extraordinary. I think it started off with a bang and couldn't live up to its premiere, to be honest. For me, at least, because it was so different. It was so edging towards horror, mystery, and had this vibe going, and it did keep that vibe, but that premiere had something extra on it, and it was
some of the intrigue.
Exciting and new, and then they didn't like build on it, in my opinion. They just kept writing the same like slow, and it was just plateauing, I feel like. But maybe in retrospect, going back to think about it later, it'll be good if you think like it's supposed to be a superhero action flick, but think about it in the same way, like maybe like Superman Returns, right? It's a Superman movie. You expect it to be love, big bang action. It was actually more like a character dissection, a character piece on Superman, right? Less action. He fought a giant island and threw it into space. Like it wasn't super bang pow type of thing. So
what's interesting,
expectations need to be managed when thinking about it, I think, and that might help after the fact if anyone ever does a rewatch.
I think what like a lot of people are expecting a 6-hour Marvel movie instead of a Marvel show, and I think the purpose of these shows are specifically character driven. And
Yeah.
I think it stands to reason that my two favorite MCU shows thus far have been WandaVision and Moon Knight, and comparatively, they have less action than the rest of them.
Yeah, true.
Like
Very
Hawkeye had action pretty consistently in almost every
true.
episode. So did Falcon and Winter Soldier in most of the episodes. Loki even
Right.
had several instances of action beats.
Mhm.
Wanda was really, there wasn't action until the last episode.
Mhm.
And Moon Knight's it's very sparse in there, just a little bit sprinkled in here and there. But I love what they're doing with the characters so that
Mhm.
they can earn action down the road. So if we see these characters, when we see Wanda in Multiverse of Madness, when we see Moon Knight, wherever he may turn up, which we'll talk about, and they start kicking ass, we're invested in these characters. And so
True.
I enjoy that a lot. Do I think the finale was perfect? Not necessarily, but my hope was it at least going to land on its feet, right? I think sometimes these shows, especially with their short runtime, just kind of fall flat on their face. And I think Moon Knight landed. I don't
Yeah,
think
I agree.
it landed with fireworks, but I liked way more about it than I didn't.
Sure.
Falcon Winter Soldier, when it ended, I felt kind of a meh because there was a lot of things being put in places that seemed wrong or unearned. And this is like, I would have loved another 20 minutes. There's things that happen that seem a little bit quick and rushed. And that seems to be the problem that they are running into pretty consistently. But if we're just talking as a whole, I really loved this show. I know you're saying it's good. To me, I think it's one of the most consistent in quality. And there might be episodes of other shows that you like more, but I felt like when a Loki or Falcon Winter Soldier dipped, I think the dip was lower than in Moon Knight. Moon Knight was like maybe episode one was like the top tier, but then like where it was, it just kind of did like a solid wave. I felt like through the whole season, and then the ending was what it was, which was entertaining. We got good action in it. We got to do a little bit of. I love the exploration between the characters of like Stephen Grant and Mark Spector, and there's some really touching stuff in this. Should we kick off kind of where we left off in episode 5 with Stephen taking a nosedive into the Duat?
Right. Yeah, if you want to run down it piece by piece, I think that, we've kept it pretty spoiler free, actually, just sharing our thoughts. So, anyone out there in the chat, the 5 of you watching, spoilers abound. We're gonna talk about the whole thing. Hopefully, you've already watched it with us or watched it previous, and now you're gonna talk about it with us. Yeah, go for it. Shoot.
The timeline might not be exactly right. I'm just talking in highlight form, and what I was waiting to see was Mark in the field of reeds and him making a conscious choice to leave essentially Egyptian afterlife paradise because it didn't sit well with him leaving Stephen to be frozen in eternity while he lives in paradise. So he turned away from it, ran out into the dunes, and found Stephen's frozen body, and there came the line, which you could say it's a little cheesy, but man, did it hit me. It got me right here when he said my only superpower was you, because Stephen was the one protecting him from like so much pain. And I thought that was beautiful. And then Osiris, who is an unseen god, which seems to be relatively consistent in the show, is one of my gripes, is all the unseen gods. And I feel like they get a little cheap. There's a cheap element of the show that continues to be cheap in the finale, but
bring that back around, because I do have that's one of my gripes.
It's really one of my only gripes, but I will bring it back around. Osiris opens the gates back and allows Mark and Stephen back into the land of the living, but then at the same time, or slightly before, we're catching up with what Layla is doing, which is kind of infiltrating and blending into Harrow's men, as he's getting closer to Amit and sending more souls down to the Duat that are being prejudged. And she eventually finds her way into the Pyramid of Giza, where the gods and the avatars are kind of preparing to fight against Harrow, which sounds like it'd be an interesting fight, doesn't it? Maybe.
Sounds like it might be, which is one of my gripes. Like, apparently, Khonshu and Amit are the only gods
That's the
worth a
budget.
damn as
They
far
got budget
as
for 2 gods. That's the
well,
cap.
and well, they kind of only had budget for one god because Khonshu's the only one with an avatar with a suit. Other than we finally see Tiolet,
Tarwet.
Torlet.
Did you say Torlet?
Towerlet.
I don't think there's no. The hippo.
The hippo. We said the hippo. But Harrow didn't get a suit, and none of these other avatars got a suit. They just got shiny, glowy, and then the fight was over. And that was it. Yeah. That was the only, they didn't put up any sort of a fight. One of my only complaints
up to this point,
what good were you?
In the show was the whole, the trial of Khonshu, basically. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, they just get glowy eyes. I was like, I would have loved to see like CGI giant gods standing behind all these avatars, like to see. It's not Horus, it's I don't know. Hathor. Hathor is one of them. I want to see Hathor. I want to see Osiris and all these other ones, but we didn't get to. And for Harrow to walk in and then just cut away and it's like, oh, they're all wiped out. I'm like, you just kicked the asses of the avatars of all these gods.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren and I looked at each other and we both went, lame. To be fair, though, I think the rest of the episode kind of really sustained us, but that was definitely a moment.
I have gripes and the inconsistency of the power set, I guess, or the rules. Like if you're gonna have a superhero show, a fantasy show, a Harry Potter type wizard show, right? I will go along with whatever you tell me the rules are, but live by your own rules. That's all. Yeah. And so when you're inconsistent with what is a god's powers, which jumps into slightly later when they release Amit, and then all of a sudden Amit and Khonshu are growing to the size of kaiju and they're Godzilla fighting all over Cairo. But up until this point, they have we've only seen Khonshu. And Khonshu has only been a figment of Mark's psyche. No one else could see him in the world. So now all of a sudden they're corporeal and they can affect things. And so why do they need an avatar if they can go and just wreck shop on their own?
I was having this conversation earlier. Correct me if I'm wrong. Nobody made eye contact or looked at Khonshu and Amit fighting. As far as I know, I think because Layla, even until Khonshu came to Layla couldn't see Khonshu.
Correct, but they were all the souls had already been sucked out by the time she grew. She was growing big feeding off the souls. So right. I just kind of assumed it was like an empty ghost town by that point.
I'm just saying, I think that even though they were growing, it's all existing in the god sphere, in like their plane of existence. So I think it was all very symbolic and spiritual, and I don't know. I don't think it's so much a power set as like gods. Like you look at Zeus. Zeus can be 100 feet tall. Zeus can be human sized. It just depends on how he is portraying himself as a god.
I'm trying to think
they're like beings of energy. Kind of.
I guess I'm trying to think back to see if they were actually affecting the landscape around them. Because if they were knocking stuff over and breaking things, then they're corporeal, they're physical, they can do stuff.
That's something different. And I don't think they were, but I could be wrong.
You might be right. I just remember a scene where Khonshu knocked Amit into the pyramid and she had landed on the pyramid. So I was kind of assuming, but maybe there wasn't any damage. Maybe it was more just them fighting on landscaping type of thing. It's very possible.
On their metaphysical plane and stuff like that. So, after we very lamely don't see the Egyptian gods get their asses kicked, Layla does make it back to where all the gods are being kept in their statues and opens Khonshu's Imprisonment. Khonshu tries to talk Layla into joining him or being his avatar. She says, "Piss off, ghost."
Piss off, ghost.
She says, we'll do it together, but I'm not going to be your slave. And so we then get to see Amit is released. I like the visuals of Amit. I think Amit's very cool looking. Mm-hmm. And Amit tells Harrow, your scales are not balanced. I was like, ooh, is this interesting? Is she going to wipe him out? That'd be kind of unceremonious. But she says, you will balance them by continuing to serve me. I was like, all right, well, that's convenient.
Well,
Uh,
and your scales are not balanced because of what you're about to do, what you're
yeah.
going to do in the future, not necessarily. But you know what I do like? I really do like that they stayed very consistent with Haru's character,
Hmm.
because he was all about the balanced scales, and he was all about, hey, if you're not worthy, you're not worthy.
And you could
And
tell
she
he was
straight up
actually
said,
believed it.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. She straight up said, "Hey, your scales are balanced." He's like, "All right, well, I guess you know what? Pick someone else, then that's fine. You know what? I did my part. I did what I could." And he was ready to, die for what he believed in. So I think that really says something about the character they wrote.
this is our new member of the show, Research Andy. And Research
Yeah.
Andy just came at us with just look through. There's no physical
Mhm.
damage that I could see, just a lot of dirt and dust when they collided with the pyramid.
I'm literally watching it right
Oh.
now. So yeah, I pulled it up just to have it in my peripheral vision. But yeah, I'm
Which
basically
is
saying what
consistent
Andy
because
said.
like Khonshu could like make wind,
Yeah.
so it's consistent that he like, dust gets blown around. And I think if
Yeah.
you're looking out at a pyramid and all of a sudden there's a bunch of dust, it's not as
Mhm.
traumatizing as Godzilla versus Kong out in the middle of this Egyptian desert.
Khonshu just hit a car. He knocked a car. It went flying. So it's out. That theory is out the window.
I mean, he pushed some garbage cans a few episodes back, so it's just an evolution of that.
I guess so. Yeah, I'm not going to stress about it too much. I just want you to, if you set up rules in a fantasy, crazy, magical world, live by the rules. That's all I'm saying.
That was one of the
so,
problems with. We had to do some gap filling in the season finale and be like, okay, I guess this makes sense because of this, but like we didn't get to sit in a lot of moments or a lot of explanation. And this is a show that introduces so many interesting concepts that it could really benefit from some exposition, some solid exposition that's well handled. Like we got a lot of, as much as we all love episode 5, Ed is an exposition dump.
Yeah.
A lot of it's kind of show and tell. And I think we still needed more of that.
My main issue, and this goes to the thing that I'm, complaining about anyway, but my main issue with the entire series as a whole was direction, editing, common sense of what a character would do in the moment of whatever moment they were in. And so, for example, in this episode, after she immediately breaks Khonshu's thing, whatever, I can't remember his little statue. Harrow, yeah, Harrow's like, oh, he like shoots his purple lasers at the stone and it starts to fall. You would think you'd go investigate. No, they literally cut scene, boom, all of a sudden he's outside on top of the pyramid. It's like, wait, dude, you like, she was just trying to undermine your whole thing that's happening, and you just tried to kill her, but then immediately you're outside moving on. So there was like a scene missing there, in my opinion, or some sort of sequence of him going, oh, she might be dead, let's move on, like that type of thing. And so and that comes to editing, that comes to directing, in my opinion, that they just skipped a few steps, and they did this all 6 episodes.
And we get semi conveniently, as Stephen and Mark are going through the gates of Osiris, Khonshu recognizes that because he comes back to life still with bullet holes in him, so he's struggling to like climb out of the water, but Khonshu's like, oh, Mark's alive, I'm going to go fix him and he can be my avatar again.
He was mid-fight. With Amit, and all of a sudden he's just disappeared. Now he's on a mountaintop waiting for Mark to show up. And it's like, wait, we missed a step there. There was just a short 30-second scene that they cut out or something in my, and that was.
And Harrow.
These are small gripes. I'm on board for this entire story. I'm having issues with the editing. Sure. But the story itself, I loved it. I loved it all.
And I think this is a great character to introduce us to. I'd love to see more Moon Knight. And I love that all the mythology that's attached to it. Characters, yes.
Many characters.
And we will talk to we'll talk about Layla here in a second, but I was gonna say when you're talking about logic problems and things, one of the things that I thought was meant to be really cool, but didn't make sense to me is when after Stephen and Mark have a conversation with Khonshu, being like, after this, we're done. And he's like, all right, well, you need to hurry. And they're like, well, how are we going to get over there? He's like, well, remember, I can control the night sky. And he kicks up a big wind. I'm like, that has nothing to do with the night sky, I don't think. Like, I get you, like, moving the moon and doing an eclipse and stuff and the stars and things. But he's just like, desert winds, carry him over.
He only has the power to fly when it's dark out.
Yeah,
That's
right. Fair enough.
So he had to make it dark so that he could fly through them with the moon light shining on him or something.
And
I don't know.
Layla may have said no to Khonshu, but says yes to Taret. And I'm just going to say it really fast so you can't tell how wrong I'm saying it. That's my strategy. It's my battle strategy. Which I think is interesting because her costume that she gets, I actually thought was really cool. It was Wonder Woman 84 done better.
Oh, yeah. Her, first of all, Layla as a character, super badass.
Yes.
Her outfit, super. Sorry, my dogs are barking for some reason. Layla's outfit, super badass. She looked fierce. She looked muscular too. Like as soon as they put her, you could see her shoulders. Like she was like ready to go to battle.
Oh,
like she's
the second she like
warrior.
reached back and like did the wings on the sword, Lauren and I in unison both went hot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everything about Layla, I'm in love. I want her in everything.
I got Layla. Layla was involved in something that brought a tear to my eye shortly thereafter.
You know what? We should have known all along. Baby, I nailed it.
Absolutely. Yeah, Starger brings up Hawk Girl. It was a little bit Hawk Girl. It was a little bit Wonder Woman 84. It was a lot of things, but better.
Moon Knight could fly in the comics, or couldn't?
Yeah.
Did you mean couldn't?
Yeah, and yeah, she didn't really get a hippo related costume. I don't know, yeah. But Taret's like, I have a great idea for a costume, but she's supposedly basically an incarnation of the Scarlet's Scarab.
That's
Scarab,
yeah.
And they've been hinting at that throughout the show.
And she did basically say like temporary avatar. Like she made a so maybe this is just Layla's version of an avatar, similar to how Steven has his own version of Khonshu's avatar. So Mr. Knight.
So now we're getting into where I was just geeking. Once we get to the actual fight with Harrow and Mark and Steven and Layla, fantastic. Perfection. And I thought that honestly that fight was enough for like I always want more fighting. It's great. I love that stuff. But I didn't feel cheaped out when that fight was wrapping up. Even when we think he's losing and then he has a flash and it's like our final Jake Lockley hint.
Yeah.
And he's like, Steven, was that you? Nope. And so that was all really good. But the coordination of like Mr. Knight and Moon Knight working together and how Steven like throws one of the, they're not called batons. What are they called?
Crescent moon daggers.
Well, it's like the sticks.
Yeah. His little stick. His little stick.
He throws it. Harrow like knocks it away and it goes spinning around. And then Moon Knight catches it. I was like, I'm loving this so much visually, character wise, choreography. And I love that Steven's so jacked to look at Layla and be like, I gotta show you all the new skills that we learned. Because now Steven can do everything Mark can do. So it's basically Mark's skill set in Steven's body or vice versa, however you want to look at it. But it was so much fun. I thought that was such a fun fight scene. I had a great time.
And Oscar himself jumping between characters like almost mid-sentence. And he does it more. Yes, he does it in the fight scene when he does that, when he talks to Layla, like, hey, I want to show you these new skills. He does it later in the doctor's office, right after this fight is over, and they've put Amit back into Harrow. And he one sentence after the other, he's just jumping back and forth.
I just realized an opportunity that they completely missed on. When they beat Amit, Steven should have said later, skaters.
When they beat Amit. Right.
Because he did getting dissolved.
Yes.
And it was Mark doing the spell with Ami. Should be like, Gators, Gators.
He said it at the Osiris gate, but he should have said it again. That would have made or saved it. Yeah, saved it for Amit. Yeah, you're right.
But getting the Layla's fight, really cool. She can fly, she got the badass wings, she got swords, and then she saves this little girl and she says, "Are you an Egyptian hero?" And she said yes. And I was like, whoa, are these tears? Why does representation give me so much? It's always Marvel. Every time they have been doing representation right lately, I get I don't know why. I don't have a great explanation. It's just so good to see. It's so good to see underrepresented. Hang on, I can't represented. Underrepresented minorities and other whatever. Getting their heroes, even if right now it's small or smaller. And Moon Knight's kind of not an Egyptian person hero, but like there's Egyptian lore attached to. So he's like a quasi pseudo Egyptian character, sort of. But Layla straight up is, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Mohammed
she herself, the actual character, not like Mark Spector himself is American, and
And Mohammed Diab, I think, has been really doing a good job on the episodes he directs, as much as he can. I think there's some things that might be out of the director's control as far as budget, how much you can put into an episode. I'm not sure what all goes into that, but I think they're doing. I think they're doing well, not perfect. I think there's things that can be learned. I would like more than 6 episodes. Boba Fett sure felt like, why do you have 6 episodes? It felt like a 3-episode story, and then you stuck like 2 episodes of Mandalorian in the middle of it.
Right.
But that's another topic. We do get the final confrontation where Khonshu is telling Mark, like, once they get Amit into Harrow's body, they say now you have to kill him or he's going to escape and Amit will be loose on the world again. And then we're faced with Mark basically saying no, and Steven telling him, is like, hey, you promised, we're done, we're out. And so he's got to find other means of what to do with Harrow.
Which is just a minor gripe. I don't get why he would have had an issue with killing Harrow at this point. Why would
maybe they're trying to differentiate characteristics, because every serious death, I mean, maybe some of the Crescent like throws killed some people, but every like serious brutal death has been hinted at that it's somebody else. And I don't think Mark, and I think he's hesitant. I think Steven makes him more hesitant. So that might have been. But then we're going to see something that we're a side of him that is not hesitant.
No, I agree. I just think up until this point, like he has been completely like boom, 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 battle. We'll kill these people. Going through the tomb, trying to find Alexander's tomb. Amit's thing. And like we'll kill these other people, but then like the most dangerous person. No,
I think it's. I don't know. It's not a great excuse, but I think it has a lot to do with Steven. I think Steven, maybe too much so, is kind of balancing or counterbalancing or bringing out mercy in Mark, because I feel like Mark was relatively merciless, and Steven was one. Every time he was going to stab somebody, punch somebody, whatever, Steven's like, no, don't do it, don't do it. So maybe some of that is insane because they're closer now than they've ever been. Right. So I'm sure Steven's thoughts and Mark's thoughts are starting to blend in with each other. I don't know. It's not a great explanation. That was my headcanon when I watched it.
Sure. And then, so after the scene, we jump into the doctor's office. We go back and essentially.
Quite. We get the bed. It's just like we know that Mark and Steven are living together.
The bed is the very, very end. Yeah. The bed is right before credits.
I thought the doctor's office was post credits.
So, because I just watched it back. So, they jump in the doctor's office right away after, the shininess of, we're guessing, the suit leaving his body. And that's where Oscar Isaac just jumping back and forth between Mark and Steven, right back and forth, having this conversation. They know this isn't real. They're questioning Harrow, kind of almost making him realize it's not real. He's walking and there's bloody footsteps. Why am I bleeding? Well, there's glass in your shoe, bro. And we do see a scene, or we see a piece of dialogue from Mark where he sounds like almost like a New Yorker.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in past episodes were thinking that was Jake Lockley kind of coming out.
I was like ready to bet money and convinced that the way he was talking to Harrow when he had the broken nose, he's like, oh, he's some doctor. He was talking totally different.
Right.
And I was like, that's Jake. I don't. Or
maybe it's a fourth one. Maybe it's a fourth that we don't know about.
They have said multiple times in different episodes, or however many personalities are in there. So
right. Yeah, exactly. Because we definitely, in the post-credits scene, hopefully everyone stayed for that. We definitely see a different side of Mr. Mark Spector.
I'm really glad that scene was there and it was what it was, but it felt like, because we've had no post-credit scenes thus far.
Yeah.
I think that scene just should have been the last scene of the episode, if you ask me. Like, it could have gone to that scene of them in the room, and then this scene, and then credits. Done. Because it felt like that was the send-off, or the next chapter. That was the close. That's where you stop your episode. Because if the episode stopped where it appeared to, I was feeling unsatisfied. I was like,
Okay.
too many things in the air.
Mhm.
And it's amazing how much was done in that like maybe 50-second post-credit scene
Right. Yeah,
where
yeah.
I was like, I feel a lot better now
Mhm.
because we got to wrap up with Harrow. We got our introduction to the man that we've been waiting for the whole show, Mr.
Mhm.
Jake Lockley. They did an interesting thing with him that I like,
Mhm.
and we got to see that he is the most brutal personality of
Yeah.
Mark's. He speaks Spanish, which is cool,
Yeah.
but he is still a cabbie. But he's like
Mhm.
an assassin cabbie driving
Yeah.
around in a super nice like limo with
Mhm.
Spectre as the license
Spectre, yeah.
plate.
Yeah. So I
Uh,
wonder if this is like, X amount of months later or something. Maybe Mark has done something to amass major wealth. So now he has a stretched limo, Bentley, and he drives himself around. Apparently, he just puts a
Stephen
little
Grant
hat on.
becomes the rich millionaire that he is in the comics,
Yeah,
the Bruce
maybe
Wayne type. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
he calls his company Spectre.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Mark Spector is the real one, right? Stephen Grant's the
Yes.
alter. So, before we jump in and dissect that real quick, I wanted to let's see if this actually kicks on. Oh no, it won't do it. Let me see. I got
Fix
to
it in
pull it up.
post.
No, I just had to pull it up in a different browser because Disney Plus doesn't like to share their browser. They don't like to share pictures. Disney and different browsers have done a great job at kicking people out of screen capping things.
It's fine. I can see it in a reflection behind you.
The reflection of what? What's reflecting?
Oh, on the other side. Yeah.
Oh, that?
Why
is that so shiny? It is so shiny. Let's see. Pull it up right.
Oh, Davion brings up a really great point. He found the lost tomb of Alexander the Great. He probably could have turned that into profit.
That's true. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he does some of his findings. He's selling it back to a whatever, to a museum. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm gonna share this real quick. Tell me what you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say we have no word on seeing more Layla, but I'm infinitely more interested in seeing a show or something with Layla than I am with Echo, who we know has a show.
Yes.
I just find that ironic.
So, tell me what you think about this transition.
Oh, I definitely skipped through the credits hard.
Right there. That. Did you see the way before the hood goes on?
Yeah.
Move that thing out of the way.
Rewind it a little bit.
Right before this, so right there.
Yeah.
I just feel like this is a different suit.
Maybe. It's interesting.
It's the way the wraps go across him, and right before the hood goes on, because I guess it does have a full. So I don't know. It just felt like that was maybe Jake's suit of some kind. Like he looks almost like I was thinking Vigilante from Peacemaker.
Yeah, it's like exactly kind of like you showed me that Vigilante is exactly what I thought of, or like Power Ranger. Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that up real quick as I was watching through the credits, just because there's always like little like tiebacks into the episode type of thing.
But I thought that was heard it here first, folks.
We found Jake's suit.
We did it.
I don't know if
I would love another season of this, but obviously we know that they submitted it for a limited series, series with Emmys, which they now have very strict rules because of, I think those Pretty Little Lies is the reason that they have this rule. But if you're submitting for a limited series, it has to be one and done. Oscar Isaac recently today, I believe I was reading an interview where they said there's no official plans for the character, but we know that doesn't mean anything. I predict we see Moon Knight next. Well, it could be a movie. Moon Knight can also show up in another show.
What I was thinking, so one, they did a fantastic job of not tying this into a single other piece of MCU. This literally could have been one of the Netflix shows, right?
Right.
Where they tied into each other, but Daredevil season 1, the incident, they just referenced the incident, right? The big green guy, I think they said one time or something.
And they said something about a guy with a hammer. I was like,
the guy with a hammer, yeah, exactly. So vague enough that it could be interpreted however you want. They did no referencing at all in any way, shape, or form, I think. Other than I think there might have been a scene where it's like, oh, we're used to weird things going on, something like that, right? Something happened to that effect. But This could be, you know what? This ended on, May the 4th.
Yeah.
We are seeing Doctor Strange in no less than 24 hours from now. And who knows what the universe will be like once that happens. The multiverses could collide. So this could be a scene where we pull Oscar Isaac in. This could have been in a whole nother universe. Excuse me, I just got heartburn on something.
The only
who
thing
knows
somebody
what could
pointed out is there's like a bus ad, and it was the company, I forget what they're called, but they're from Falcon and Winter Soldier that was doing all the bringing people together that were displaced after the snap.
Sure.
But, like, that's it. Like, that was the one thing that was there.
Hey, they might have that same, company in other universes helping after the blip. Because, right, Thanos snap, whatever this and that happened. I'm sure that happened in other timelines and multiverses. I'm just saying they did a good job at divorcing themselves from the rest of the MCU.
So we're getting a Blade movie.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting a Werewolf by Night. I don't know if it's a movie or a
Halloween
series.
Special. Or
yeah,
something?
It's a Halloween special. I don't know what that is.
So
you got that going on.
Somewhere in the 50 to an hour 20 like range or something. That's what I would imagine.
And then you have Black Knight, and I have to wonder if maybe Ghost Rider's around the corner somewhere. If the next time we see Moon Knight is in one of these supernatural based shows, and I would love to get a Midnight Suns something. I also think there's it would be a huge disservice to do Werewolf by Night and not have Moon Knight appear somewhere in there.
Yeah, Vaping. Are you talking about this show or a different show?
It was this show.
No,
yeah,
it was this show.
I saw it.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, I didn't see that. Finale, and I know everyone's freaking out about it. And to me, it's a little bit of semantics because honestly, you go on Disney Plus. This is listed as season 1. It's just how it's listed. Even limited series, you can still say like it's season 1. It's the first season. It just might be the first and only season. I don't know if it means as much as people want it to mean. Because if they do move forward with the season 2, then they have to pull out of the limited series nominations. They can still get nominated for other things. But I think the whole point about limited series is it also kind of limits your competition because there's a lot more regular TV shows than there is limited series. Yeah, because series are typically planned with going forward. Anyways, so
it's a way to skirt the line. I would imagine if they wanted to, they could definitely make another season. It's just like you're burning a bridge. You're burning a bridge with an awards.
Yeah.
Contending show or something like that.
Trying to find loopholes and stuff. But I think there's speaking of loopholes, I just think there's so many ways around it. There's not getting a Moon Knight season 2 does not mean not getting Moon Knight.
Right.
Look at Hulk. Marvel's been getting around the Hulk problem since 2008, pretty much, by just continuously putting him in things. You can do something like that with Moon Knight.
Yeah, he's
I feel confident.
She-Hulk,
yeah. And I feel confident we would see him in Werewolf by Night because that was Moon Knight's first appearance in the comics.
If they don't outright just do a Scarlet Scarab show with Layla, I could see an scenario where Layla realizing Jake is a thing, a person, and he's evil. He's too brutal. He's going too far. He's using Khonshu's power too much. And she now has to stop him and pull Mark and Steven out or something like that. And she goes to Dane Whitman for help or Blade for help. Or Werewolf by Night and it's somehow mixed in, something like that, right? So I could definitely see that scenario where it's her trying to fight him and it's someone we care about. So it can definitely be like an emotional series or show or one-off, whatever, a movie, even. And that's that type of scenario. I could definitely see that happening.
I agree.
Send it to Disney. Tweet this out. Tweet it, Disney.
So
we got ideas.
Overall, to varying degrees, fans of the show want to see more of the character. Oscar Isaac was phenomenal. Layla was a great character. I think that Ethan Hawke, Arthur Harrow, was a fun villain, but like some people, I found him more entertaining in the psychiatric ward.
Okay.
I liked fake Dr. Harrow more than Arthur Harrow, I think.
Right.
I like Ned Flanders Harrow the most.
Right. Very Ned Flanders.
Yes. With the silly little tash there.
Yeah, this show for me was straight up. It was premiere, and then just like week after week after week, and then finale, and that's how it was. And so it was like okay, are they gonna spike it up or nope? They're just gonna slowly go down, and then boom, it's and then the
five and
finale
6 were pretty
nailed it.
good.
So
5 and 6
exactly.
were pretty good. Yeah, I
So
think it is
they
definitely it
nailed the
starts on
landing.
high points with like it's like I said, it's not a huge dip, but I think it's lower in your 3-4 area, and then 5 and 6 were pretty good.
Yeah, they nailed the landing. Wasn't perfect, but they nailed the landing.
I do agree with Starger. I wish there was two more episodes, 8 or 9. I think 10 would be great. You look at like Stranger Things and stuff, that's like 10 to 13 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
my biggest takeaway is I want more Layla. That's my I as much as I like Moon Knight and I am interested in what they do with Jake, I'm the most interested in Layla and wherever she goes and whatever she wants to do.
Yeah. Well, thanks to everyone joining us. Was there any last thoughts you had about the show before we close out here?
Nope. I'm glad that finally we got to see what Allison has been telling us about this whole time.
Yeah.
With Jake, and she wasn't like 100% correct. Like I don't think she realized he was going to speak Spanish. That took everyone by surprise. But she's been just spouting praises about Jake.
Everything's based off of the comics. She had like nailed spot on.
Right.
All the predictions that you can make off of it. Yeah. Like it was actually Allison that messaged me, and she said, "Did you know that at the end when it says like Sienkiewicz psychiatric ward, that was one of the original artists?" I was like, "Wow, I didn't know that. That's fascinating."
I missed that one actually.
So, thanks, Allison. Everybody, we are seeing not together, unfortunately, because states away and borders and stuff like that. But we are seeing Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness tomorrow night. I think you can expect a solo spoiler-free review from me a little earlier in the night, still pretty late. And then shortly after that, we will have Sean, myself, and possibly Brandon Buckingham on the show to discuss full-on spoilers. So we're going to get into the madness of the multiverse. And feel free to join us for the spoiler-free one. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, you can watch the spoiler one whenever you get around to it. But we look forward to having you guys on there. And with that, it's been a pleasure. What's up?
For those of you in the chat, you know what today is, May the 4th. Darth Vader tells you to go and watch. I did the Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, that's true.
Not Obi-Wan. I did the Kenobi trailer reaction.
Hey, the poster says Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It does. That's why I was reading it. It's a verbal tick. But yeah, so I did the Kenobi trailer reaction this morning. Drop that. Please go like that after we get done with this show. Hop on over there, give us a like and a view. We'd really appreciate it. And then yes, what Jesse was saying, come back tomorrow for Multiverse of Madness. And
I'm wearing
non-spoiler tomorrow night.
Sure. Blackbeard's Bar and Grill. But yeah, we see you guys on the next review, next episode, and Multiverse of Madness. Until then, you keep it real. See ya later. That's the wrong bit.
Wait, you didn't say it. Later, Gators.
Okay, ready? Latest Gators.
2, 3.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Latest Gators.
Latest Gators.
Nailed it.
This is the sound of dun, 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 dun. It's the Flick and Reel Show.